Welcome to a new series I hope to start posting regularly on Facebook, and it's called 5 Minutes of Zen. So let me start the clock, and we're going to do 5 minutes about Zen today. First, let's define Zen and what one does when one does Zen. Zen is the Japanese word for the Chinese word Chan, and the Chinese word Chan is for the Hindu or the Indian or Buddhist term dhyana. And that simply means meditation, to be in that state of mind that we call meditating. When we meditate, we are looking within and examining the thoughts of the mind. And practicing meditation is very much a contest between you and all of the mental constructs that are bouncing around inside your brain. Of course, these mental constructs are very important. We model reality inside of our brain through these concepts that we make, and they help us get along very well, finding food and finding companionship and building community. These are all important things. When the Buddha tried to get across his knowledge, the basis of it was the relieving of suffering. He wanted to relieve people's suffering. And suffering, he found at root, was based on desires. Now, desires are important things. We have to have them. We have to have a desire to gather food, to protect our young. These kinds of things help us survive. However, it wasn't just that kind of desire he was talking about. He meant that desire for things, for expectations we have, and also that desire to fend off the things we don't want. We don't want disease and misfortune and accident, and we want things that make us feel good. However, clinging to either of these desires and really holding them is what frustrates and causes suffering. We may get the things that we want, and then we have sleepless nights wondering how we'll keep them, or what happens if someone takes them away. So because all things in this world are constantly in motion, constantly changing, it's unwise to cling. It's certainly fine to have joy and celebration and to count your blessings. That's fine. It's when we unreasonably cling and want things to stay the same. They just don't do that. So what the Buddha was suggesting is learning to control the mind, to control these desires that we cling to work on how we construct that reality in our head. So what one tries to do when practicing Zen is let go of these thought constructs. Let go of all of these intentions and desires and worries. Just let them be for a little bit. First, when you sit down, people always ask me, I've tried this meditation. I sit and my mind keeps going. Of course it does. It takes a little practice. Having your mind keep going is an endeavor you've been in since you were a tiny child, and everybody was entertaining you and cooing around you and showing you things and teaching you the names of things. So we construct this reality and have these concepts. It's part of who we are. Another part of who we can be is somebody who is in charge of those constructions, in charge of that inner talk. Sitting quietly and relinquishing that attachment to those thoughts is the very first step in practicing Zen. So when you sit down to meditate, first you'll notice all the little squirrel caging. You may decide that there's something else you need to tend to. If you really do need to tend to something, then tend to it and then come back later to the meditation. But once you commit to sitting down and being quiet, you'll first notice the arising of all the thoughts. Look for where they come from. Who is thinking these thoughts? If it's you, you should be able to silence them. If you cannot, you're in step one of the practice, learning to sit and relinquish. You're not trying to gain something. There's not an enlightenment you're reaching for. You're simply trying to let go of things. When you do that, you might be surprised what you find underneath the thoughts when you aren't thinking of anything or mentally constructing anything. So that's step one of your Zen practice, is to sit, identify the thoughts, attempt to relinquish them. That's our first 5 minutes. I'll see you on the next 5 minutes of Zen.